Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined again with Randy and Mike. How are you guys doing today?
Good morrow, good time zone, good hello. No, how are you, Drew?
I'm good. I just got my Neuralink implant, so
Sweet.
I'm all set. I'm ready to summon my new vehicle with my mind. So I'm excited. The delivery date changed this morning for me. I'm hoping there's a chance this could be my last podcast without the Tesla.
That'd be pretty cool.
What a
There's
plebe.
a chance. It's what a plebe. But so I'm trying not to get too excited because I know there's always a chance it could get delayed again, and I still don't have a VIN at this point. So I'm trying not to get excited. But Mike, I'm glad you're alive. Thanks for filling us in on that.
Maybe. No, get hyped, Drew.
Barely.
Get hype, get happy, get excited. These are the final days that you're stuck with a gas car and no alternative.
Yes, and I drove it this morning, frustratingly, because there was a Model 3 in front of me in the entire drive to the doctor's office, just taunting me. And it was a LFP version, so I was just like, come on.
It's just existing there, menacingly.
Menacingly. They're just mocking me now every time I go out. I'm like, come on. So yeah, I'm pumped. I'm ready. I don't think there will ever be a transition point in car ownership as massive as this one. This is the whole Intel to Apple Silicon, jump, except times 10, because we're going from 15-year-old gas car to brand new electric car. Could be the last new car I ever buy, depending on what the car market is like by the time I'm buying another EV, which at this point I feel like could be a very long time. Just analyzing my lifestyle, I don't think we're going to need a crossover or a pickup truck in the near-term future. My lifestyle would have to change a lot, and I don't visualize that happening. So I think there's a very decent chance we could own this car for decades and no other EV. Maybe the Aptera, if that launches, that would change things. But I'm not going to count on it because it's a startup, and as we saw from Lucid's earnings call this week, we know that startups don't guarantee much. So
No.
you got to be realistic.
Of Lucid, I saw my first and only one in the wild. Yeah.
Whoa! All the way out there on the East Coast.
Yeah, and not even in
there's
the
rich people out there.
Outside of New York City.
Not even in the popular part of the town that I am. I don't know if I've ever said where I'm at, like, out loud.
Oh, so they're at your house then.
Hey.
That's fine.
But,
Randy's address is 427.
That's the old one.
It's the one. My name is Randy Vasquez. I live at 98876.
Say it. I want to say the thing, but I can't say it. I need to. No, I'm done. I'm sorry. Too much of an.
What color was
joke.
it?
Oh yeah.
Thank you for getting me back on track. Oh yeah. It was white, but that's not what caught my eye. We were leaving our the shopping center yesterday morning, like the grocery store. As we're driving out through the intersection, it was just it was sitting at the light, but not. Like, it was sandwiched between a lot of cars in front of it and a lot of cars behind it, so nothing made it stand out, with the exception of the headlights.
Yes, that's exactly. I saw a white one in the wild too, on the opposite end of the country, but I knew it was a Lucid from what felt like a mile away, just from the headlight design.
Yeah.
I looked in my side view mirror and I just see this car with like an ultra thin beam on the front.
Yeah.
Like the thinnest headlight I'd ever seen. And I was just like, could it be? Like, that's not a Lucid, is it?
And then, as I'm driving by, I'm like that. So, and he's looking at
Umbrella
me
Academy meme.
in my green Tesla, him. And so we're just like, our heads are just going like this. And like, I couldn't help but be like, I made one of those. I was like, and he looked at me. He was
It
like,
caught your eye.
yeah. And he gave me like the touche to you,
always be
sir.
my brother.
Touche to you as well, good sir, because
Yeah.
we both stood out. And other than that, Lucid car
Touche.
would have blend. I don't think you're using that right. Touche. Okay. So
We
anyway,
miss you, Nick.
But it ain't too far from a Honda Civic, right? In
it
terms of
does
the
not
shape.
Right.
look that unique in any other aspect, but the headlights almost, and they're always on this headlights as well. So daytime headlights are just they're just as LED-y. So
LED.
yeah. So I'm
How
like,
often do you see them, Mike? I know you've seen a lot.
At least once a week I see them. I'm seeing actually a
Okay.
whole lot more of the Genesis GV60 on the road, along
Really?
with BMW ID Force. Or not ID Force.
Okay.
BMW ID
ID
Force? BMW I Force.
I4s. Okay. I was like, ID4s don't surprise me, but seeing more of the GV60, that's pretty new.
Yeah, they're rolling them out a bit more than I thought. But going back to the Lucids, they're around in the Bay. They're not they're not really a rare sight anymore. The same as like a Rivian. I usually see one
Yeah.
at least once or twice a week.
Have you? Yeah.
Not to mention that
Randy,
there's
have you
actually
seen
one that
Rivians?
lives not too far. So
I-
kind of hard not to ignore it.
I see.
Yeah. No, I have not seen a single Rivian with my own eyes. For
It's
once,
gonna be the whole
What is this,
show.
the Taylor Swift movie review now?
for
We're
once,
just gonna work
I
in
would
as
like.
many memes.
For once, I would like to see a Rivian with my own eyes. But you can't order one.
funny.
Nothing will change. It's too late for me. Nothing will change that now.
It's too late now. Yeah, there's been. I've seen at least a dozen Rivians over here on my road trip, and just in the place I live. There's at least 2 people that live near me that own them. But yeah, never seen a Lucid outside of the Bay Area on this side of the coast. But it's cool that they got one all the way out to you. I saw that they launched the new Stealth option recently. They were kind of hyping that up a bit. Maybe it was to remain stealthy about how much money they're losing. They're trying to keep that under the LiDAR, if you will.
How much sand are you going to throw at this car?
But what I didn't know, because I was playing with the configurator, because I was like, I should spec out like my dream Lucid before this company goes under. And the Stealth is just the top panel. It's just the pillars. But you can get it on any color. That's something I didn't know. I thought Stealth was like a brand new color option on the exterior. But once I
gotta
played with the
check this out
configurator,
now.
it's like, oh, all it means is that top pillar, I think it's the A and C pillars or something, or all the 4 parts that connect the roof to the rest of the body. You're basically just converting that to graphite, like a darker shade of gray.
Mm-hmm.
But you can match Stealth with any other color, as far as I can tell. So
Ooh.
that's something you may have missed in the announcement.
The Zenith Red with the Stealth. What do they call it? They don't even call it anything. Oh, it's in look. Okay, so there's the color of the car, and then there's the look of the car. And the looks are the platinum, which is, I don't know, it's a nice brushed silver look. And then, like you described, the Stealth, it's more of like, actually, of course, tying it back to Apple and tech in a way, it's very much like space gray and basically the MacBook colors that they come in. It's almost
They've definitely got some Apple vibes going for them. They've got their discount Johnny Ive. They've got Face ID in the car.
They got the other Steve.
Is there a Steve there?
Oh, I'm talking about Woz being like their spokesman for it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Woz is a fan. I forgot.
I feel like he would, if he could. I thought he was an investor. I might be wrong, but if he was an investor, I feel like he might single-handedly keep Lucid from going under. He would want to, because
and the Saudis.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they are artificially alive right now.
They're on life support.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised to see like half of their cash get burned within 6 months, and then they cut their production estimates again, like not even the first time. And what's depressing to me is that their production estimate, which has been cut in half twice, is still unbelievable to me because they produced like a little over 1,000 vehicles in the first half of the year, but they're still expecting to build 6,000 this year. So they would have to quintuple production in the second half of the year, which I have a hard time believing. Like, even if you did great and you tripled, you would not hit 6,000 produced. So I think that they're still going to struggle to hit their current guidance, which is not great considering it wasn't too long ago that they were expecting to build 20,000 this year. And after the last call, it was like, actually, at first we had supply chain issues, but now it's just logistics. Now it's just, we've figured out that assembling these cars is kind of difficult. So I'm curious, like, how long you guys think that they can stay afloat, or like, do you see them diluting shareholder investments, or like, the Saudis are smart, obviously, and they want Lucid to succeed because they've invested so much in them. But the counter argument I haven't heard brought up is like, wouldn't the Saudis eventually start to realize maybe this company isn't very capable and maybe we shouldn't be investing in them? Like, maybe this is a waste of money? Or
I would disagree with that just because of the existence of W Motors. If W Motors, you've seen their car before, especially in a whole bunch of commercials. They made the Lykan Hypersport, which is the car in Fast and Furious that jumped buildings. That stunt, which
in Dubai?
did actually happen. Yeah, in Dubai.
that narrows it down.
W Motors still exists today. Since 2012 to now, they're still existing. They're still servicing their vehicles. They only have, like, I think, maybe 200 employees or something like that. But I think if there's that much of maybe not a need, but an allurance, basically interest in Lucid from that region, I could definitely see them surviving somehow in that regard. Maybe
like, even if they don't deserve to, but they'll be alive.
Deserving to is a very interesting statement to
Maybe not
wrestle
deserve
with a
is
car
the right
company.
word, but like, not in the same way another EV company would have to like make good products, find a way to make them profitable, and ramp them up. Lucid isn't necessarily looking to be that profitable in that regard, but there's enough people invested in the brand that like the product that they will keep it afloat.
Yeah, exactly that. And you've said it yourself before in the past with Lucid appealing to that luxury high-end community and trying to focus on those customers, really. I mean, there's people that can reach for it. And then there's people like Steve Wozniak who have all the money in the world somehow. But
Somehow. I don't know
but
where
I
he
guess
got it from.
I don't know, some fruit company, I guess. But what I'm getting at is at least there is interest in the brand, at least from that region. And there is interest here in America. It's just they're struggling, whether they get help from some investors in a way, or they have some other company basically become their crutch and they don't really get to have as much independence and go as far as they want to with their products, like the Project Gravity or the eventual Model 3 and Model Y competitors or something like that. Maybe that's the trade-off they have to take to survive, or to at least make it past the 2020s. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still a fan of Lucid. I do agree
like
with
the
Randy.
product.
Yeah, I agree with Randy that it's not a striking design, but it's a lot better than the Mercedes that just looks like a very, if Lucid's front end looks like a Honda, the rest of the Mercedes is that Honda. It's got a great interior, but it's not striking at all. And at least Lucid did something with customization on the outside, and is still rolling out stuff like that. And like many, I'm really looking forward to when they put in those pilot seats in the back, or I forget what they call them specifically, but basically the reclining seats that it's only 2 of them. But I think
I
that
wish they
definitely
would've-
appeal to a lot of their
Oh.
customers and maybe generate a little bit more interest because it's more options. And
Right.
some people like that luxury. So
I
think they still have a chance.
I have a kind of different idea about Lucid.
Okay.
Even though I said like they're artificially alive right now or staying afloat, I think they still have their place in this early adoption era, this wild west of, not just of exploration of what people can do with an EV, but then just like the how to get to said point. They have their place in the fact that they're one of the most expensive EVs to get, and that already shaves off, I would say, 95% interest in people who are actually serious about buying an EV, not just interested in it or PR, but just actually buying it. I think anybody who's in the market of it, if you take that number of people, 90 to 95% gone. Like they won't spend that much on it. So in that sense, they're still niche and they have a target audience that keeps them there. Two, as much as we have our own thoughts and use cases and everything with mileage or with range, they are the only ones that are really, standing behind the 500 plus mile. We can deliver this and make this, as soon as possible. They're proud of the range. They're whether it's efficient, whether it's fast charging and all that, they don't care because they think person who wants to buy a car don't care. And and two, I agree with that sentiment. I don't think everybody has the same thoughts about an EV as me or Mike or Drew or anybody listening to the show. Like I feel like we all have a different use case of what we need out of it, which is why I think we all have different variances of our own Teslas that are either on order or that we have because we have different use cases. But I think Lucid is they're not trying to be full-fledged ramp up Tesla, delivering all these
Profitable.
They're still early. How long was Tesla not profitable before they became profitable?
It was a while, but it wasn't. Wasn't quite to this extreme of operating expenses relative to cash in the bank.
Now consider the fact that they're not the first EV on market, so
a lot more competitive now.
They're not the guinea pig. So people who want to see it through are willing to commit a little bit more, whatever investors or whatever reservation holders that will put money, like all that stuff, like the guinea pigs of all of it, whether it's Tesla and the like. That ship sailed a little bit. So now it's like, okay, we know what this all electric world of vehicles looks like. So patience is a little bit different, and maybe even how to get there is also different. Not being profitable is an issue, sure, but I mean, if we just went off of people who are profitable, even legacy automobile, like so many companies would have gone under, and yet they're not because that's just not how business works. Especially when you're not just with investors, but say you get bailouts or loans, grants.
There's been a lot of bailouts.
There's a lot that has to artificially keep things going. If anything, just to kind of maybe prove a point, what we do here in this sector of tech and consumer products for America is not like how it's going to go down in China. China will focus on their own way of making things happen. And so I feel like Lucid is just one of those things that will also find a way to be around or relevant. Remember a couple months ago when I told you guys that statistically they all can't make it. All these companies that we see, Canoe, after Lucid and all that. And I'm talking about startups too. I'm not talking about just people who are converting like Kia or Ford. Just startups. Statistically, they all can't make it. Not everyone's going to be Tesla. They can't. Even though like I still know that to be true, I think Lucid is too for lack of a better word, too arrogant to go away. Because it's so high end up there, so niche. Like they don't they were never gonna have millions back order or anything like that. Their issue is the logistics of it and the profitability of it right now, but not necessarily supply and demand of like, all right, who wants this, who doesn't want it. So and they're safe. Like it's not the status symbol of it. It's just like, you know. It's like a Rolex that you wouldn't know is a Rolex from afar because it's like, oh, that guy's wearing a watch. It's a safe looking vehicle. There's nothing brand related to it. The headlights are the headlights, but you know, this is us all just kind of, you know, experiment. You know, we talked about I think it was the EV4, 5, and now 6. Like they kind of, the designs will eventually start to get comfortable. This reminds me of like OnePlus or one of those like fanfare products where it's like it's really cool at first and then it slowly gets safer and safer and safer and it loses its identity, they would say. Likewise,
that's Lucid, Tesla for a lot of people.
Yeah. But
it was Lucid, different, and it was the new kid on the block. Now it's become mainstream, so a lot of people are like,
It's now the Toyota Camry of the road.
That's their right as a business to stay profitable, to stay relevant. Not everything has to be a status symbol. We made the argument. Drew definitely more than anyone else made the argument about the Cybertruck itself will be the status symbol because there's no logos and you'll just know what that is. But not every product has to be that or will be that. And if becoming more common and safe makes it stable, as it should be for Tesla, because they're in a good spot right now in their company's history, you know. So not everything has to be taking a risk and being bold. And you got Elon, you know, to do all that just with his mouth. So everything else with the product will be just fine, and they'll still be in the news somehow, some way, you know. And same way with Apple and anybody else. But Lucid, on the other hand, has always been safe. There's nothing daring about the design of it or what it can do. It just it's on paper thing. Hey, we have right now over 500 miles. We make it. We know what people like. And then, you know, their marketing with spokespeople. I tease, but like, you know, you got Woz. Woz has some weight behind his name. If he says something, it's like, oh, dude, the dude who actually created Apple, like engineering wise and stuff like that guy says this is it. So I mean, I don't think
it does feel like the crowd pleaser. It's like an enthusiast brand, like you said, with OnePlus starting. Like John Rettinger's review, who has now sold his Lucid, but for other reasons. But when he reviewed the Lucid, he was like, it feels like it was designed by car people, like wanting that high range, wanting the good handling, wanting the quality interior. It was designed by car enthusiasts, whereas Tesla definitely has that feeling of we're trying to eliminate the driver, you know, we're trying to autonomize everything, get rid of so much, get rid of parts, get rid of process. There's like a fundamental different ideology of how the car should behave, I think, when you check out how the Lucid is versus how a Tesla is. And it fits different personalities, you know. Some people prefer that autonomous, streamlined, simplified look, and some people want the more enthusiast, lean into the range, lean into the interior features and all that. So
yeah,
it's an identity thing.
So I guess then to answer your overall question, like are they in trouble? Sure. Like what company wouldn't be at some point in its history? But
yeah, you don't think they're going away?
No, I have a cynical vibe about bailouts and things staying afloat that should be things that I thought that should have gone away that didn't go away, like kind of
bailouts or buyouts.
Huh?
One or the other.
What's the
bailouts
difference?
Or buyouts?
Yeah.
Someone
I don't
could scoop them up.
Yeah. And I made the case, I don't remember if you guys agreed with me or not, but I make the case if they get bought out, that's another version of the company not making it because they're not this independent.
Oh,
If they didn't
sure.
promote themselves to be like, it is our intent for Walmart to do an acquisition of us or Amazon. if that's not in their website, their statement, then them getting bought
Walmart
out
will buy Lucid.
is that equivalent of that, like the company basically died. It's alive only by name of the tech that's being absorbed. So from my point of view, the buyouts are also killing them.
So like Beats are dead.
Yeah. They're strictly just taking advantage. The Beats. What is Beats One really still a thing? Like the music? No, that's all.
No, they got rid of that.
Yeah, like Beats is
Yeah.
gone. Beats is.
I am what remains.
You did not destroy Beats. I did.
I did. Yeah.
Beats is
I
not your failure, Apple.
I'm not even so much a fan of the Lucid vehicle as I'm just a fan of like their powertrain. I think they've come up with a really impressive motor of just like efficiency and weight and the higher voltage architecture. I'm less of a fan of the design because the trunk is kind of small and I don't like where the sun visors are and the windshield and stuff. And, you know, it's cool on the outside. It looks much better than the EQS, but I'm really just thinking Lucid will exist in some way, shape, or form, regardless of if they can turn a profit, just because that brand definitely has a big audience behind it. It's honestly surprising how many people watch Lucid content, despite like how many vehicles they're building and how many, like the market they're catering towards. Like so far, they've basically only sold 6-figure vehicles, and yet there's all these people that love talking about Lucid, and it's like, you seem like a big fan. Are you gonna buy one day? And they're like, probably not.
Isn't that how they?
But it's really cool.
Since you brought up a certain YouTuber, isn't that like the shtick though? In general, that like everyone's excited about foldable phones is because if they live in the world of reviewing or reporting on it, it's exciting to them for a very, very skewed and maybe almost biased reason, but that doesn't actually translate to the audience. You know,
Right.
the audience.
They're a fan of it, but they don't plan on partaking in it.
Yeah, like the audience. If your purpose as a reviewer or as a YouTuber or someone who does anything, but if any type of review, if your purpose as a reviewer, through my perspective of it, is free advertisement for the brand, because that's let's just call it what it is, and I'm not even crapping on that. Like that's fine. Everyone's got to make money. I get that, but if your purpose as a reviewer is to promote the brand, you're just upholding your end of your talking points, and even if there's truth behind it, even people who put money where their mouth is end up selling their Lucid. Like, is it cool? Yeah, but it's also kind of a fad in that sense, through what I see. And not everybody would have the same opportunity, resources, or cash flow that would put them in a position to get a Lucid and then to turn around and sell it. And if that works for them, awesome. But I know, I'm not even going to guarantee, I just know that's not the audience. That's not people in the audience could be in those predicaments, and that's the exception, not the rule. But the audience is, because you are the marketing person for that brand at that point, as an independent person promoting it, the audience will be like, hey, that's cool for clicks and to watch it and to kind of like live in what if land with any enthusiast brand like Lucid. That's kind of cool. Like we gush about how much we like Rivian. Ain't none of us put our money where our mouth is about a Rivian, even though we like it. Like we could talk about and speculate it, but at the end of the day, money to the mouth, rubber to the road. What are we all buying? So
Rubber to the road.
Lucid is cool, and I kind of, after you said it, Drew, I just went to the website and I built out my spec, and I wanted to see this stealth mode. It's really cool, but even if I had the money, I'm not that audience.
That's Tesla money or investment money or something else.
Just life money. I mean, maybe that's house money. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's I would, or maybe just retirement money. That does not everything has to be spent. Say that's a drop in the bucket. The one I spec'd out is $160,000. Okay, yeah, just to see. I just wanted to see Stealth and all what this look like. If I had that money and it would not hurt my anything of income worth anything like that, I still wouldn't buy it because. At what point, like I'm not a Rolex guy. I'm an Apple Watch guy. Utility over, fashion, I guess. Like I'm not the type of guy who would want to buy, Dior or Prada. Like that's just not. I'm not that. But Lucid is trying to be that. Where if you buy Louis Vuitton, you buy the Lucid name, like, and it's first thing it says, premium luxury vehicle, like on the site. They want. They want to beat that Apple. And the more I look, it's like, yeah, this is an Apple product. Like, if Apple bought Lucid goes away, it becomes Apple Car, so Lucid dies. And in that sense, it kind of goes away. But I feel like this is a hand-in-hand thing with Apple, but Apple's too mainstream now. Like, it's too popular. It's the most influential company in the world. I don't think having Lucid under their belt would be the right move for their first EV to market either. So, yeah, it's... All that to say, going back, Lucid is a niche product, has its place in the EV world, and for that reason, I don't really see it going away because it's so unique. But that's what I think, at least.
Do you have a dream spec, Mike? Did you play with the configurator at all?
Yeah, I played with it a little bit, and
yeah,
probably the same as Randy's price. I've exited out of the tab. I'm now staring at a canoe on my screen. Which I'm trying not to put a pre-order
on. Bit more
on.
in the budget. Yeah.
Yeah, going back to what Randy was saying, would I buy a Lucid? No, I'd probably buy 2 canoes. But
I'd buy a canoe vehicle and a canoe boat to put on the canoe.
A canoe on your canoe.
That's funny.
Yeah. But thinking about it, actually, with your description, Randy, it's not too far off with what people view Ferrari as, right?
Yeah,
it's a really cool car to look at, really cool engineering to observe from the outside. The lifestyle is pretty neat to look at in a video and all that, but owning one, it ain't fun and it ain't luxurious at all because you can't modify anything, you can't service anything, you can't even deface the dang thing because Ferrari will sue you and take the car away. So
and you get kicked out of their little club thing because it's such a. I like that analogy, Mike. That's a better comparison, and that is a more apples to apples thing. It's like Ferrari. It's a Ferrari for EVs, and they might not be as intimidating as Ferrari, but they got there over decades of building that fanatic fan base. But Ferrari is that tight little club within the club type of a thing. So much so that most people who buy Ferraris because they're trying to buy the little logo with like the Ray-Bans or something, the Ferrari edition. Get that blood red, crimson red kind of going. But Ferraris, man, that's spot on. I think it's just like Ferrari. It's Ferrari for EVs in the sense that cool on paper. People know a Ferrari when they see it, especially if they're doing like the NASCAR stuff. Like where they Formula One, where Ferrari can pop and showcase and look at us. Who has a Ferrari? Like
I've got 12. No.
If you guys had $160,000 right now and you had to spend the money on something, like it's use or lose, I still wouldn't buy. On a vehicle, I still would not pick the Lucid.
What if it had enhanced CarPlay thing, though? No?
There's an exception to every rule. You've changed my mind.
I don't know. I do think it's
that was quick.
Kind of a wider they're at least trying to be a wider demographic than Ferrari, though, because they're going for 5-seater sedan, and then they want to do Project Gravity, which is more of an SUV. So it's not like quite like the Rimac Nevera levels of limited edition, highly sought after hypercars, but like they're trying to be practical And maybe that's where I take issue is like, because I understand what you're saying. Like, they want to be that luxury, like, you're within our club. Maybe we'll offer you the opportunity to maybe place an order.
Buy our
But,
NFT.
yeah. But especially when they're doing the whole, like, there's a price hike coming, you better order now to lock in. And then they were sending out, like, emails to people asking them if they wanted to opt for a more expensive model. Maybe I'm seeing through the lines a bit. Maybe I'm assuming things that aren't true, but I think they might potentially have a bit of a demand problem. Like,
Really?
they've mentioned that they have over 30,000 reservations, but they won't disclose how for what trims. And I'd love to know how many people are reserving the Air Pure versus the, Grand Touring or the six-figure versions of the Air. And I'm wondering if maybe they built a lot of these Grand Touring, high-end trims, and now they're trying to find people willing to buy them. But everyone's just like, nah, I'll take the Pure. I want the Pure one. I want the 80 grand one, not the 160 grand one. Like, they have there's differences. I see that, you got your all-wheel drive and your horsepower, and, on the Pure, you've got no glass roof, but you've got such a wide range in pricing for very similar vehicles. Like, they're still ultimately sedans at the end of the day. They're fast sedans with lots of range, with fast charging capability. But, like, to have this, but, like, there's a big range between, I think the long range Model S is like 105 grand and the Plaid is like 130 something. Mm-hmm. But with the Lucid, it's like, this one's 80, this one's 90, this one's 120, this one's 150 for features that I don't think people are justifying that kind of price hike for. So maybe that's where I take issue, is I'm seeing Lucid kind of struggle to figure out, like, are you trying to be kind of mass market? Because they say they want to do like a Model 3 alternative in the future, and that's what they want to do after Project Gravity, and they want to do an SUV. So they're trying to widen their user base, but they're also still trying to have, like you said, that like Ferrari feel of that limited effect.
Maybe that's my problem then. That I don't think that they're, like what you said, like they want to expand. I don't think they're gonna expand. I genuinely think
they're
that
struggling to now. So maybe
so like, we want to do this and we want to be more accommodating. Of course, I'm sure at one point. Apple wanted to go outside of lightning cables, but at one point you are what you become, and I feel like Lucid won't expand. They're struggling now, and if it is a demand problem, you might be right. I don't feel that's right, but you might be, and assuming you are, if they have a demand problem, then they're just kind of screwed, because now they have a demand and a supply issue. You're screwed on both fronts.
Financial,
and you're
promise.
not profitable. At least with Tesla, it's like, no, we just have a demand issue. Not, we got what we need. Just do you have the patience for it? But if you're wrong, if you have an issue on both ends, supply and demand, then and you're not profitable, like that's a sinking ship. And my goal, there's a hole in this ship, and my goal is to point it in the right direction.
Right, like Mike brought up the what are they called, pilot seats, or those, I think would have been so perfect for the brand. I know it sounds like a little detail, but what I was thinking about was the sacrifice with that is it's no longer a 5-seater. It's a 4-seater at that point. But I feel like if you're making a luxury sedan, how many people are sitting in that hump seat in the back? Like,
no one.
They're not trying to be the family car, right? Like, they're not trying to be, come on, kids, let's get in the Lucid Air and, take a fun trip to the beach or something. Like, no, that's what Gravity is for. That's what an R1S is for. That's what other electric crossovers or SUVs can do. But if you're doing the sedan thing, you're going all out on this, like, I'm rich. I want a status symbol. I want, the highest range. So if you're going to be driving around with some friends in your super expensive Lucid, trying to make it feel like Mercedes S-Class, then those pilot seats would have been perfect. Like that would have given them such a unique like standout feature, that recline and you lay back and look out the glass, and your rich friends get to sit in the back. Like how many are like, okay, there's 5 of us, who wants to sit in the middle? And they're like, okay, I guess I can sit here. This is good.
Me.
So, how's your stock portfolio going?
I shorted Tesla again.
I want to know like the usage data of the 5th seat, the middle seat in the back on Lucid Airs. Like I want to see how often those are being utilized.
Yeah, that's something that I've thought about with my Y as well. Not too many times is there anyone in that middle seat, which is why I think about cars like Canoe, where it's like, hey, you can get up to 7 seats in this thing, and it's like they're actually usable seats, and they're not just like that kind of. Yeah, we put some cushion here. It's a little bit stiff, but it works, and I guess a cup holder comes out the back, so. Your back's not going to feel good if you're going on a very long trip and there's a full car. But with like a Canoe, it's like, well, yeah, I guess you got the side seats, which may not be a little bit comfy per se, but at least like they designed it for that. They designed it to be comfy in this sort of way. It's not like an afterthought with a cup holder back, or the same as thinking about Aptera, right? They're just like, we're not going to think about 5 or 3 more seats in the back. We're just going to go with the 2 seats and design around that and make it the best experience that you can get, which, to be fair, Lucid's also thought about their experience in that car. It's just doing those pilot, or I guess the official word that some other people have used is executive seats.
Executive. I like that.
Isn't really...
Makes me feel more premium.
Yeah, it might just sink them more in the hole because that's a lot more programming, hardware, and material that they have to put into it. So just slapping in the back of the 3 seats and then the cushions or whatever could work as well, and it'll help them sell more because they can offer it as a 5-seater instead of a 4-seater. It's less expensive to make and for customers to buy as well. But yeah. Going back to what we were saying before as well, we're just going to keep going back, and I guess in my statements.
In reverse.
I'm just in reverse this whole time. That's all regression. What was I saying? I don't even remember. I think Lucid will be around for a while. Okay. I don't think there's too much to worry about. It's companies like Lordstown, Canoe, Bollinger, Fisker, and a whole bunch of others that you have to worry about more. And I guess to amend my statement from like a month ago, Randy, when you were talking about all these startups or all these car companies that are coming into the EV game, some of them have to fail. I'll probably amend my statement with Canoe just because they've gotten a deal with NASA and Walmart, ensuring that they will survive in some capacity. But as well, it puts them in a lot better position than companies like Lordstown or Fisker, where we don't even know what's going on with those. I haven't really looked into them in detail, but all I see is coming soon, it's coming soon, with nothing. Where you see updates from like Canoe with like videos of like, look, we're doing this, we got a whole bunch ready to go soon. Or Aptera, where it's like, hey, look, we're finally making Gamma, which means we're one step closer. So
to the edge, and I'm about to break. Sorry.
Did you guys see the Gamma interior, like the updated Aptera look?
No. Is it the one that they showed off at their meeting Yeah, it was their meeting, right? There was the 2 CEOs and I forget what her role is. But they're showing off some images. I think we covered it before, but is that the same interior?
I think this is different. I'll link it in our group chat so you can see what it looks like. But they had renders of it previously. Now they seem to have a actual prototype of Gamma.
I'm looking at the book.
All these weird pictures of them reacting to it. But I think it looks nice. I like the look.
That's the cool. It's clean. Very clean.
Mm-hmm.
The
So,
Oreo steering wheel is pretty funny to me. Or I guess the yoke.
The Oreo. That's what we could call it.
Oh jeez.
Stop. Clean.
For
like
some
the
reason in
Oreo.
my head now I'm thinking of an Oreo, but
I had
with
to
egg.
pull up some
And it's
not
just
notes. I just need to make sure I was in
gross.
the right week of wanting to address it though, because moving forward, I feel like I can not crap. I just speculate on Rivian or not Rivian. I'm sorry, but Lucid for a little bit longer. But
Okay.
unexpected turn that kind of took me by surprise, considering its footprint in the industry. The whole Ford Lightning going up in price, even for people pre-existing orders, kind of took me back a little bit. To be honest,
Really?
I thought they would try to be more PR-y about it and not do something like that. Just to, because it's nobody's fault that they're waiting, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, and now it's like, nope, sorry, like that's what it only further cements what we already knew. Cybertruck is going to be like starting at 80,000 or something like that. It's not. No
way.
You
Way
think it's gonna be
more
more
than
than
that.
80? You'd think more.
Oh, I think we'll be lucky if it's 100,000 at this point.
Starting?
Yeah, for the base model.
Oh man, I disagree so bad. I never disagreed with you more harder than that one.
I hope you're right. I'm not taking pleasure in this. I hope people know that. They seem to think like I want the Cybertruck to suck. That's not. I'm just trying to like taper expectations as much as I can, so that people aren't massively disappointed. Because I sense a great disturbance in the vaults, and I feel like this is gonna be one of the biggest like letdowns in Tesla history. I think it's gonna be one of those biggest like wait what moments, and they will get away with it, and everyone's just gonna be ticked off for like years.
Pushback.
How dare you exist?
I disagree in the principle that Tesla does not need Cybertruck, whereas Ford needs that Lightning to work. Tesla does not need Cybertruck. If
Ford
they
needs
canceled
a
it
lot
right
of
now,
things.
we all got refund our $100. All right.
Yeah, no,
what
I
it is.
agree. They don't
So,
need the Cybertruck, but
For them to go over,
they're gonna
like
do
again,
it.
price hike, yes. 6 figures starting? No, I think the single motor will be so bricked. So
Oh, I don't think that'll exist. I don't
oh
think
you
there'll be a single motor.
okay. So that's where we're okay.
Maybe that's where we're not
Yeah.
connecting.
Yeah.
Hold on, Mike. What's your predicted starting price of Cybertruck? Like, where do you see it beginning?
110.
Oh, okay. You're alone in this, Randy.
Where's Nick?
If anything, okay. If anything, maybe 90. Like I could see
Maybe.
a case for 90, but I think
Okay.
110. Okay, how about this? 99999. It ain't
Right? It's not 6 figures.
it ain't 6 figures. That's what Tesla's MO is. Like, oh look, we made it to 25 kind of. It's actually
Just
25,999 including
after
incentives.
subsidies and rebates and tax
and just
credits.
to douse a little bit of ice in the face as well, just a reminder: no Cybertruck will come with a mobile connector, and no Cybertruck will come with standard connectivity for life.
I don't care about that stuff. Not in the sense that I got a mobile connector. I don't care.
Yeah, like how many people are buying the Cybertruck as their first Tesla?
Some
Mike
might.
in the woods, probably. There's
My
probably some.
father-in-law potentially, if he goes through with it, it'd be his
Listen.
first EV/EV truck.
Charging bricks cost
truck.
extra out of any smartphone. It
They
just
slim the box of the Cybertruck. It's a smaller package now.
yeah, there it is.
Oh no!
So they could stack more when they ship them.
I bet
What a
they could
crap
stack pretty
logic
well.
that was. Yeah.
You don't want to do that. Not with a car.
So, Mike, with 110 or 9999 or whatever you want to say, you don't think
I'll do 5.9s.
5.9s. You don't think that is that the single motor?
No, there is no single motor. It's just quad motor. I don't think single motor's ever going to come. I think it'll be quad motor for at least a year
Randy,
or two. And then
they don't even make a single motor Model Y in the United States. Why would they make a single motor Cybertruck?
Because they always slim down before they expand back out. Case in point, S and X in Europe.
in Europe.
Europe is a big continent, Mike. You selfish American.
Wait, I don't understand the example. How do they slim back down?
Like, they make single motor variants. They have single motor. It's a thing on the market. We lost color configurations. We lost customization. Excuse me. That's a better way for me to say it. We can always we go down in customization, not because they want to, but partly quality control. Because
no, I agree they're going down in customization. I just think that means that
they
the single
expand.
motor
They
won't
will
be a
expand
thing.
back out. They will expand back out.
Probably when Elon's gone, yeah.
I don't think it'll be that long.
Quad motor only and nothing else.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't believe that. I just
Also,
don't.
there are single motor S's and X's in the United States.
No.
today.
The fact that S's and X being like, that's not something that was.
And they stopped making them, for the record. They don't make single motor S and X anymore.
No. I'm blending two different points about models and then on configurations and how now S's and X's to be delivered, shipped, or people can order them in Europe. The bigger. So before they what's Giga Berlin's purpose now? What's its purpose? What's its function?
Build Model Ys, have a whole bunch of Tesla semis delivering stuff in front of it from all their promotional stuff. That's what they want.
No, it's just ramping Model Ys. That's
ramping
all it
Model
is.
Ys.
And are those Model Ys coming here to America?
Why would they come to
No.
America?
That's my point. We are expanding out. We're expanding out.
So your point is that Cybertrucks are not coming out of the U.S.
No.
That's what you said. They're not taking.
Man,
they're not leaving the
wait.
continent.
I'm about to do the Jordan Peterson. No, I'm not saying that at all. Yeah, listen.
I just can't follow your
Okay,
logic.
let me just get to the point.
Okay.
Will the single motor Cybertruck be the first to launch? Most likely not.
I don't think it'll ever launch.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you why it will launch. Because I don't know when. In 2 weeks, Mike.
2050.
In 2 weeks, because that's
2050 's not
timelines
bad.
don't exist in Tesla. Timelines aren't real.
Timelines exist at Tesla. They're real. They
No.
just don't hit them.
Time is so fake. It's nothing more than a measurement, and their measurements are way off. So, not only let me go a little bit bigger then for you fine gents. I think every version will get a single motor. Every model vehicle will have a single motor
On
option.
Earth?
No.
No,
When people go to order in
You think the
2023,
that Model X
2020
was never made with a single motor? You think they're going to add that in the future?
No, the ones that had single motors will have single motors again. I think when you get to the point where the Gigafactory's online, pushing them all out, and all the vehicles are delivering, okay, they will then bring back variants of them again. More colors, more motors, or in this case, less motors. I
right.
think we will have everything. There'll be more options for people where, okay, we technically are only shipping 5 vehicles right now, the sexy lineup and Cybertruck, but the configuration between them, long range single motor will be a thing again. I believe.
In what car?
Model 3, Model Y. You can have the single long range option again. Now, is it coming in 2022? No, but I'm saying, big picture, someone who's going to hold on to Tesla stock for a really long time, we will have all these options again. That
Okay.
to then include also Cybertruck. And I think it will. I don't think it will happen after Elon leaves. I think this is. Well, first let's get a ship date for Cybertruck before I like how far after. I would say 2024, but what does that number mean when we don't even know when we're getting Cybertruck? So I can't assess a trajectory of when we would see a dual motor or single motor Cybertruck, but I wholeheartedly believe that we will see that model come. It will come out at some point. I think not only that, you will get a single motor Model Y. What else lost a single motor option? And anything that got slimmed down during
Model
this
S.
weird period in history will correct its course again in the next 2 to 5 years.
So you're saying we're not on a corrected course right now. We're on some weird tangent curve. Tangent curve?
Yes.
Some curve off
Yes.
the
yes.
line that you're saying is the optimal option or optimal case for Tesla, which is
I think
all
we
these
threw
options.
so many projections out the window after 2020. I think a lot of things just had to shift course.
Well, I agree with that just because Tesla is trying to become the best at manufacturing. To become the best at manufacturing in the world, you have to have your presence made in those sections of the world, which Europe, we've got Giga Berlin, China, Giga Shanghai. We got 2 factories in the United States. Maybe we'll see one in Australia, though it's not a big market, and maybe eventually we'll see one like, I don't know, in Taiwan or something like that, or Taiwan or somewhere else.
Oh my God, we just got banned in China for saying that.
I never said anything delineating that, but
Being chilly.
but what I'm
once,
getting at is there's a reason. I could agree with that statement, but we're 2 years into 2 years into Model Y right now. We have only seen options go away. We saw one come up very briefly, which was an echo of the original announcement, but then it went away. Will things come back? Well, maybe. I don't think we'll ever see a single motor Model S again. I don't think that reality is ever going to happen because the Model S is meant to be a luxurious sedan that is above a Model 3 and Model Y. To say that the Model S gets a single motor puts it down in the Model 3 and Model Y realm, which doesn't make sense as a product offering of your hierarchy of things. It's like pricing a MacBook at, Mac Pro level. No.
Which they do.
I'm not even going to try again to that. But you get my point, right? You don't want products intersecting too far deep into an other product's
you.
regime.
No,
So
I
it
get what
doesn't
you're
make
saying.
sense for a Model S to have
I
a
don't
single
even
motor.
disagree with what you're saying. I hear you, and I don't disagree with you. But Elon has said we don't need to be making S's and X's, but they do anyway. And I'm now okay. That's never going to go away. And they found a way to keep that fresh, and they reinvigorate the excitement with Plaid. Like it was openly said, we don't need these models. Drew's got something he's been sitting on, and I'm dying to hear what he has to say.
He's got an egg underneath him.
I was gonna say, Randy,
Yeah.
bull crap! You didn't convince me. But I think the Cybertruck price has nothing to do with what it costs to build and everything with supply and demand. I think that's dictated all of Tesla's pricing, is how much supply they have versus how much demand there is. When there's too much demand, they raise the prices. And they openly said on a public earnings call, documented and everything,
that mean?
that the new the new Model S and X cost less to build than the Raven versions that they replaced. And they jumped the prices at this point like $40,000. So it's not, I don't think the prices have climbed $40,000 because it costs more to build. It costs more to put a yoke in a 17-inch display and update the
about the
active
chips?
noise cancellation. What'd you say?
The chips, the computer portion of everything.
They said that they're battery constrained right now, not really chip constrained, or at least.
Oh, I thought they said the opposite.
Really? I could have
Well,
sworn they said
earlier in the
opposite.
year.
Well, yeah,
I thought they said we have 2170s for the rest of the year. We're finite on chips. But regardless, the Cybertruck, people need to acknowledge and just understand that this is going to be a very slow ramp because of how different of a vehicle it is. Between the exoskeleton, the armored glass, and the size of the battery pack.
I will even go a step further and say there's going to be massive bumps along the way. I think there's going to be screw-ups left and right.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think you're onto something, especially with the vault. We've seen how Rivian's had issues with their tonneau cover. And the, you know, I still feel confident that they're going to start with the quad motor powertrain. But the question is, the only reason Tesla would have motivation to complicate the assembly line, let's add a dual motor, let's add a tri-motor, let's add a single motor, is if not enough people are buying the thing. That's the only reason you would complicate assembly. And I have the belief that just like we've seen a tremendously large backlog for the Model S and X, despite them being six-figure vehicles now, there's still a ton of people ordering them. They still have taken a long time to ramp up. They're not quite at their targeted 100,000 a year run rate. There's a ton of people buying those things. The Cybertruck is starting from nothing. At least the Model S and X refresh, they had like existing assembly lines that needed to be tweaked for the update. For Plaid, they needed new powertrains, and they needed new interior features. But they had existing suppliers. They still got to use 1865 cells. They still got to use, you know, old batteries. Cybertruck is using structural pack, 4680 cells, new powertrain, new tires, new suspension system, new air compressor, new interior design, new everything. They're starting from nothing. So I expect that the first ramp of production is going to be like maybe 20,000 trucks, because, I mean, I'm pessimistic in thinking that the Cybertruck's going to have something like a 300-mile range. And a lot of people still disagree with me on that. They still say, no, it's for towing. We've got to tow. We need to tow for 400, 500. That's what I need. That's what I ordered it for. They think that their $100 refundable deposit is like holding Tesla to their word. Like Tesla has to do everything they said. It's like,
it was cheaper than buying stock, okay?
I put down a deposit, and if I cancel my reservation, they're going to go bankrupt because they're relying heavily on my promise, and they need me. If I don't go through with my order, they're going to be in trouble. Like, there's so many comments like that.
Need me. Yeah.
And I think it's honestly a good sign if they compromise on the range, because that means that they'll be able to at least ramp up a little bit faster, because with a truck that big and that heavy with tires like that, we know this is going to be a fairly, you know, relative to the Model 3 and Y, it's going to use a lot of energy per mile. This is a big truck, and it's got to have the mirrors. It's got to have a big frontal surface area. So as aerodynamic as it is relative to other pickup trucks, it's still going to consume a lot. So I'm estimating, even with a 300-mile range, it would need like a 120, 130 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is much bigger than that of the Model S and X, and it's using new cells. So just like how it's taken over a year for Tesla to catch up on Model S and X production, and they're still not caught up, the Cybertruck's going to ramp even slower, and there's way more hype behind this truck than the S and X. There's like so much hype behind it. Everyone's interested in this truck. Everyone loves talking about it. So the idea of losing 80 to 90% of the reservations is acceptable, because they're not going to have the capacity to meet, you know, hundreds of thousands of orders for years. So yeah, if this prices you out to the point where I can't afford the Cybertruck, I can't buy one, Tesla knows that. In fact, they're probably fine with it, because it means that they don't have a 5-year backlog, which they've said they don't want. They don't like when wait times grow out that fast, because it basically just encourages scalping, and it makes it hard to, you know, replace parts. And Tesla would rather just price the vehicle accordingly to match the demand level. And I think right now, demand vastly outsurpasses supply, and that's why they're going to price it basically however they want, with as thick as margins as they want, which is like just the concept. Okay, even if I'm wrong, let's say the Cybertruck's 400, 500-mile range, just the 400-mile range Model S, which is infinitely less functional. You know, you can't off-road with that. You can't really tow with that. It's not as practical. It's not as durable as the Cybertruck. That's selling for $105,000, and it's still back ordered. Like,
can I ask you a question?
Just any Tesla. What'd you say?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What if it's not, though?
What?
Like,
what if the sky was purple, Randy?
what if What if not, though? What I mean is, like, what if it doesn't have the 4680s? What if it doesn't have all the...
It might not at this
What
point.
if it's compromised? What if the whole thing is
after the-
compromised and therefore $80,000?
That doesn't change the situation, though. That doesn't change the demand and the
Yeah,
supply.
I know. But you know how, like, we wanted LFP and, like, oh, this is what Giga Texas is about, and you got all this jazzed up, and you're like, yeah, no. What if the whole project is just one big flipping compromise because of reasons
That's
that
what I
we
think
are
it
just
is.
too smooth brain to understand?
I think it is a big compromise.
Would it not soften the blow then? That say it's a 2170, all this old 2019 tech still floating around because it's cheaper.
Super old.
Fired. Okay, so
There's constant
just like-
engineering happening.
instead of it being the top tier, better than the S and X, it's on par with a Model 3, Model Y in size of, like, in means of restraint, and it's the only way that they can meet. Would it not be easier to use? It's a new structure, yes, but then they're using older stuff that they already have that they got better costs on. If it's all about, if we're just talking margins, if you're trying to pack everything into the Cybertruck, knowing it's that popular, I don't see it going the way of the S that's trying to be the new Roadster. I see it going the way of the 3. And that means compromise. Things will just have to be not flawed, just not what we
No,
thought.
I agree. I think it'll be compromised, both in price and range, heavily.
And so you think with the compromised tech, the specs, it would still be over. Well, that's because you don't think there's going to be a single or a dual motor. You think it's going to be quad only, always.
Why would you complicate the assembly line if you have a multi-year backlog? There's no need. Like right
Because
now,
who would pay-
they've been ramping Model Y. I'll tell you, they've been ramping Model Y since 2020, and so far they're still only building dual motor. They've never been like, oh, let's lower it to single
over
motor.
6 figures for compromised tech when if it's those people who don't know any better because they don't know what they don't know. If it just softens that blow, is like it's 80,000 and you're still paying more than what we can offer for these other guys, and it's the same tech effectively inside. Who the people who do know better, who would pay over 6 figures for that when
There's
Many.
over 65,000 reservations for the Hummer EV, which I think is one of the dumbest electric vehicles ever made, but there's an insane amount of demand for it. There are people buying Rivian secondhand for 150 grand right now. That's happening. There's like registered sales.
There's
Like-
F-150 Lightnings being sold when they're not supposed
Yes.
to on
Even
third-party
Lightnings are selling
markets as well.
Yeah, like there is so much. I don't think people truly have the grasp on how much pent up demand there is for any pickup truck not using gas. Like, especially one with supercharging, that shoots it off, regardless of what it looks like, even if they think the Cybertruck is ugly. And there's honestly a huge group of people that thinks the Cybertruck is beautiful and stands out, and they love that design. So like, that's the reality I'm trying to convey.
I bet they
in
think
my
the Pixel
videos,
2
like,
is pretty too.
there's people.
You
that
shut
are willing
your
to pay-
mouth.
He pulls it up. He hasn't ready to go at any moment. There
It's
is
amazing.
such a demand backlog. The same people that are buying Model S's and X's, you know, like there's tons of people paying 6 figures for those, and they buy those because they're the latest and greatest from Tesla, and there's still a backlog for them, and they know that the Cybertruck is the greatest and latest, and it'll generate clicks, and people are trading in their old Teslas, and Autonomy and Hertz are buying them in bulk so they can rent them out and turn them into businesses. There's probably going to be 500 Cybertrucks just going straight to Hertz so that they
God,
can rent
that's
them
so
out for
crappy. That makes me
$500
mad
a
to kind
day.
of think about that. That takes away from people who that's kind of crappy. It should be a whole different like line of accounting with like with not only
They're
just financing,
constrained.
but
There's.
I know. I
for
just
that. I do
get
think
why that's a thing. It sucks. It just sucks.
I know,
Yeah.
it kind of annoys me, but I don't know what they could do about it. So-
I do think
Plow
if
through
there
it.
is these competitors, whether legacy or startup, if they offer a better price or better truck it will eat into that demand that Tesla has bursting at the seams right now on all vehicles. And once that happens, that's when I think I can agree with you, Randy. We'll start seeing options come about, different paint colors, different spec options for motors and batteries and all that for all the vehicles. Or specifically, I'd say for 3 and Y, there's going to be a lot more customability with those in terms of single, dual, maybe try if they really want to, but I think that eats into what the S and X are.
Yeah, I don't even know if it would fit. It's smaller. They're smaller.
You might be able to, but that's the only time when I think you will start seeing potentially a single and dual motor Cybertruck is if people are rather going to Rivian or Ram or Chevy or GMC or anyone else to get their truck over a Cybertruck just because of price and features. That's when price goes down on Cybertruck. Tesla will eat that cost. That they've got plenty of savings right now that they can definitely put that forward and sell it at a loss, but they're not going to because they know that they have a whole bunch of demand. So until that dies, we're just going to see prices go up and up, and which is why I'm inclined to side with Drew on 999999 or basically 6 figures for a truck that so many people want. There's too much demand. There's too many people wanting Teslas. It's never going to stop until someone else builds a better vehicle or offers a better price.
I have a feeling that they won't do it out of, for lack of a better word, out of backlash, that it won't go that high. Because one thing, the premise, I just disagree that I don't think it's going to be quad. I think on the offset, I think we're going to get a lower, at least a dual motor. You know, I don't think single motor now, but I think dual motor.
Powertrains really aren't that expensive is the thing. Like they throw that in, I think, because it's not like the 4680 Model Y. They could have made that single motor, but I think they knew that the price was going to be high, so they just made it dual motor. They're like, And pickup trucks are pretty common to be all-wheel drive these days. Like, I don't know any other electric truck that would be single motor.
I think my hesitation with this is that it just doesn't, like, Tesla doesn't need Cybertruck. People want Cybertruck.
No, they don't. That's why they can charge what they want for it.
Yeah.
Right, and so my stance is because they can charge what they want for it, what you were saying, Mike, I think that the idea of eating costs on it might just work because they don't necessarily need it. They're already kind of like, in terms of market, they're already late. You know, you got Ford, you got Rivian.
Yeah, they're late.
They're late. So what better way to, you know, be the star of the show again? Like, the design is still design. People still talk about the design, but it's like, okay, cool, design. Ooh, but here are these guys with numbers and stuff. I just feel, in my stance, because they don't need it and they can charge whatever they want, I think they come in lower, but that's also on the premise that I don't think quad motor is the starting and or only option come whenever they're ready to ship. I think there'll be a lower one, and then you'll have to wait 16 months. But you know,
I think it'll be 24 months at least if you're going for something a little bit less costly.
Maybe. But that's what I feel today. I feel today that, like, because they're late, they need to do something. That the logic makes sense about coming in with the most premium of the premium, because then it's the slowest rollout, and that makes sense because historically that's what they did. Roadster to S, and they just worked their way down. Like, it makes sense that they would do that, but they're not that startup, you know, big boom trying to get attention company anymore. They are Tesla Motors Inc., one of the most valuable companies in the world. So it's just,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't let's say you're right and they charge $80,000 for the base model or whatever. That doesn't fix the backlog problem. It doesn't fix it would take forever to ramp up. You would have a 5-year wait time, which they don't want. So they can either shut off or, well, they can't. They already took them. They already took reservations for the Cybertruck. So like you would already have a bunch of people back ordered, especially if they knew it qualified for the tax credit. They're like, oh, so that's actually a $72,000 truck. That's only $2,000 more than the Performance Model Y. I can afford that. Like, so many people would buy it, and the ramp would still go so slowly that it would just be a nightmare. So I think their best logic is to just say it's priced at 110 grand or more, and if you don't like it, buy a different truck, buy a different Tesla, because we've got more demand than we know what to do with, so we don't care if we lose you. Like, Tesla's so profitable, like, they could afford to give everyone premium connectivity, right? But they don't, because they still cut their corners, and they're still changing the fine print. Like, oh, actually, standard connectivity is only for 8 years now. Like, they don't need to do that, but if given the option to be profitable or not, they're gonna take, I think, the profitability route. Probably just from their emotional scars of the recession and knowing how dangerous it is during an automotive ramp. They just want to be extra careful with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And their focus is to have more and more vehicles. If they want to achieve that 100 million cars delivered by 2030 or 40 or something like that, they're going to need to work hard. And if that means they have to, if they decide to put the Cybertruck first just because people deserve it or something like that, or it needs to come out soon because people have been waiting, I don't think that makes sense with what their actions have been necessarily, especially with how Elon has described the Cybertruck in many cases, where it's kind of this niche idea that was kind of just, he wanted something like this, and so they made it, and he didn't care if people liked it or not. But in this case, people love it, so that just shows that they can get a profit off of it, because that's what they do as a company, because money is their lifeblood. So that line or path of thinking leads me to, why would they make a dual and single motor in the next 5 years? Or anything more than that, maybe the next 10 years, because there's no reason to if everyone is still buying the quad motor and people are willing to stretch their budget that far to get that, even if it doesn't offer 500 miles of range. I think there is an argument for what range this quad motor will be, between 300 and 400 or 300 and 450 or something like that. I don't think it'll hit the 500 mile range, or at least that's my pessimistic view. But I don't see it happening. There's no reason to with the demand. But I do like the hope, and I do like the optimistic mindset of, we will get more options for a lot of these cars, hopefully in the next decade. Because
I want to expose my own bias about my stance here, just because if anything, to provide context to you two. I've been so critical and pessimistic of Tesla, I feel like, lately, within the last year. Frustration starting with FSD rollout, and just little things over time. I like that. I want to give them the benefit of doubt, and without hard facts or numbers, I'm choosing to be more optimistic about all this, because if anything else, for my own sanity, I just feel like I'm being very critical all the time. And someone made the case to me, was like, as you should, Randy, you're a shareholder. I'm like, yeah, but it still sucks, like, all the time. When, like, eventually, if I'm always critical, then I just start losing interest, and like, I still want to have fun. Like, the whole point of all of this is to have fun. And I felt like in the last year, my fun started waning a little bit, and it's a little frustrating about that. So I'm trying to be optimistic through my own bias, is because I feel like I would be the first person to would want to get very critical about. It's easy to come on here and be like, what the heck is Elon talking about? Like, I could be that guy, and I don't want to be that guy. And when it comes to just, like, numbers on a paper, I just want to be optimistic that, we've had enough crappy things with the recession and the pandemic and inflation, that I was like, it'd be really cool to see something cool come out, American based for us. And that we know it's not 40,000, but it'd be really cool to be, like, close enough within the last 3-4 years that it counted for something. Like, it felt like the wait was worth it. Otherwise, if it comes out 120,000, I'm going to be very cranky that like this wait wasn't worth it. Did we get some clickbaity content out of it? Sure. Did we get cool channels?
Tesla got some clickbaity content.
Yeah. Did we get cool channels birthed out of it? Yes. But at the end of the day, like at least like that's not what drives me. It's the excitement of these products and stuff like that, and I just want to have that little sense of hope. I want to have hope and be a little optimistic because with stuff that's already out now, it's easy to get critical, and I want to maintain that youthful naiveness, if anything else, that maybe, just maybe, they're taking their time with Cybertruck being late to the game now for a reason that it benefits everybody. Why can't everybody win in this scenario? So that's my stance on that and why I feel the way I feel.
I understand. Rebellions are built on hope. But no, I understand that too, and I just think that once you truly grasp like Tesla's mission, like once you understand what they're prioritizing, it does make sense, and it makes you come to terms with reality a lot more when you understand that we're capacity limited, not demand limited, and that we're all on this earth together, or we're all in this Cybertruck line together. So if there's this many people waiting in line, then it's kind of like an auction. It's kind of like a unofficial who's willing to pay the most. And if there's a million of us in line and there's 100 trucks available, what do you think's going to happen? You know, like it's just reality. But I will. You briefly mentioned it earlier. We didn't get to talk about it for very much. But as we're wrapping up here, the F-150 Lightning price hikes were quite disappointing, just to see how they were kind of applying them to people that didn't even get the option to order, that had put money down, that were like they had a reservation, but they were never reached out and said, "Hey, here's your Lightning." And I just recently, in the past couple weeks, have joined the subreddit of the F-150 Lightning and everybody on there. And my heart goes out to those guys. They are so frustrated between the price hikes and then the dealer markups, and how Ford has handled like reaching out to them and just saying like, "Hey, here's your XLT," and they're like, "I didn't order the XLT," and then they're like, "Here's your dealer. It's a $5,000 markup on top." There's so much frustration I'm watching unfold that I wanted to formally on the show change my answer for the age-old question of if I was buying a pickup truck, which one would I buy? After seeing this stuff unfold with the price hikes and the launch schedule and the dealer markups, Randy knows I'm a man of principle and like voting with your wallet. I don't want to reward that system. Like, I don't want to pay a markup, even if it's a minor one, you know, even if it's a $4,500 or $5,000 markup. And it, like, if I was in the market for an electric truck, I am just such a diehard fan of the Rivian. And at this point, the price of the Lightning with the even the Pro, and then you factor in the dealer markups that people are having to put up with and the sales tax or whatever, like
registration fees.
Like you're so close at that point to, in my opinion, a much better truck. And yes, it may cost more, but at least you know that money is going towards the company who built it instead of a pointless middleman. So, and it's a hypothetical anyway. I'm not buying it, but so I'm thinking if it's a hypothetical,
principle with my word.
Out of principles, I would choose the standard range dual motor, like cheapest Rivian I could possibly get. But I love their software, and they had, you know, an expensive quarter. They're burning a lot of cash, but they still got a lot, and they reassured their guidance for 2022, which I want to applaud them for, because Lucid has cut their production twice. So when I saw Rivian say like, "Hey, yeah, we've built 8,000 to date, and we're going to have 25,000 built by the end of the year," I was like, that's impressive. Like, and you're using battery packs way bigger than Lucid. Like, you're using 135 kilowatt hours per truck, and you found a way to ramp up to like multiple thousand a quarter. That's challenging. And they've ramped up the vans at the same time, and they're working on the S. Like, I get why they're spending a lot. Like, I understand why they're burning through so much cash. And the fact that they're a company doing the direct-to-consumer route, and that if I bought a truck from them, there wouldn't be this whole dealer markup thing. There would just be a straight, like, here's what it costs, here's the agreement. And they even reached out to people to allow the point-of-sale commitment. So part of your reservation becomes non-refundable, but you'll qualify for the tax credit. They were letting people, like, agree to those terms now. I was like, that's smart. Like, they're clever. I just love the way they're handling their company at this point. So I want to reward that. So if my lifestyle changes, or if in the future I decide I want a pickup truck, I would take the R1T over the F-150 Lightning. I used to say that price difference isn't worth it. Now I'm saying yes, because the price difference isn't as big as I thought it was, and I'd want to reward them anyway. So
I will
hopefully one day
agree with you on that. I actually agree with you on that one. To the T.
Yep. Sticking their ground is very noble and admirable at this point. Despite the shortfalls that they've had and recent news about them dissolving some teams and all that. It's a business. Sometimes you have to make hard choices, but the fact that they reach out and they do these decisions to maintain themselves as a company and make sure that people do get their cars as soon as they can make them, or like deliver as many as they can, just shows that they care about the customer. They care about the people that work for them, and they care about how the world is going to be shaped with EVs and what they want to see from their point of view, which is adventure. I think that's very in line with humanity, right? We're all about adventure in all walks of life, whether you're from the United States, Europe, anywhere else, there's always adventure to be had. And it's a great theme to follow with, along with the practices that they do to ensure that people can have a very adventurous and happy time.
Yeah. I love that gear tunnel.
I loved going through that gear tunnel.
You squeezed through. I hope you see one day, Randy. I think you'd enjoy it.
Oh, they're cool.
Too. And I hope it's the Boba Fett green.
It'd be a really cool wrap. Have like the edging, the painting, chipping. But anyway, Rivian's awesome. Screw you, Ford. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have an excellent rest of your week, and hopefully I'll have a car. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.